Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. And in this video we're going to be going over a couple of new additions to the game, very small things. A couple of them are road maps. As we can see, there is a blue kite road map right now, and which is great. They've added a blue kite road map. This obviously is to get access to Roxy. You obviously need a maxed out Harlan and a maxed out Jesse to get this as well, but they do drop crates. There are no odds on these crates, unfortunately, so you don't know the sort of chances that you've got. I did get 3 of these crates and I got 1 kite from 3 of these, so I would say it's not great odds to get the 2 kites. The biggest issue for a lot of people is not so much the kites. Me personally, I completed the entire stash the last time it was round and I got all the kites required. But I don't have Harlan and I don't have Jesse, and the accessibility to these characters is very, very, very low. And it would be great if there was a way that I could maybe trade in my excess kites, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 kites for Harlan or Jesse, and that way, I could actually get Roxy eventually. Right now, the only way you can get Harlan is via a pay-to-win mission, which you have to do 120 pulls to get, which is, that's a lot of money. That's £240, pretty much £300. That's a lot of dollars. That's a lot of dollars. Around $350 for a Harlan. I'm not sure about that one. And Jesse, I think, is available in Ascension, but the chance of getting Ascendable is very low. And then obviously you've got, one of 6 to 8 Ascendables in there as well. So quite hard to come by these characters. It would be good if these 2 characters were made a little bit more accessible. Next up, we have a new roadmap, which is the ice cream cones. This requires the same currency that is used on the S-Class roadmap for the blue keys. It is the torches, and in these bags you get ice cream cones. Not a very good bag here. Again, no odds, unfortunately. A bit of a better bag here in terms of the minimums, but obviously the higher end is pretty decent, considering I think you only need 11,000 for S-Class Priya. You could potentially get lucky. There's no details on how often these road maps are going to appear, but it could be an everyday thing, kind of like the blue keys one is right now. But again, this was announced way back that this is not going to be ongoing every day, the S-Class roadmap at least, which is down here. This is going to be a roadmap that goes away eventually. Whether it comes back periodically, like once or twice a month, who knows? But this isn't going to be an everyday thing like it is currently. Now, right now, we have these crates dropping in raids, which is great. The crates are nice. They're basically like a war crate, pretty much. If I look at all the items in here, a lot of this stuff is in war crates right now. And the top end reward, I guess, would be the 200 blue keys. Again, no odds here, so we have no idea sort of like the weighting. It's going to be weighted. It's not going to be, exactly the same odds for everything. I would assume the blue keys will have slightly less chance to get than the rest, and I would say the 200 will probably have a very, very low chance to get the 200 keys. But if you get them, I guess you're going to be fairly happy anyway. The rest of the stuff is useful to a certain extent in terms of just like you're going to be using this stuff anyway, so there's nothing terrible in here. The drop rate doesn't seem to be too terrible. Like I'm getting them, I don't know, 1 to 2 every 6 raids. I got lucky with 3 in a row here, but it's 1 to 2 every 6 raids, so a can will generally give you 1 of these drop crates, which isn't too bad, like I say. There's also been some changes to arenas in terms of how it works, how many teams you come up against, that sort of thing. The sort of selection of the opponents you have, the point scoring seems to be a bit better. Even though it works the same way, you just have more opponents to choose from, so you've got more likeliness of not getting sort of RNG screwed, which was what was happening before. And I think now I can make an actual proper video about this. I didn't really want to go into any sort of details and arenas until I thought it was actually like fixed, because I would basically be making something, content on a part of the game which I didn't think was going to be around the way it was for a long term, and it's already massively changed. There are some things that I still don't like about arenas, which I will cover when I make a bit more of an in-depth video on it, but I think it's much better than it was initially. And I do think, like I said before on my live streams and just in general, I think arenas has quite good potential because it isn't too time consuming. It can be very good variation. One thing I will say is I think there are too many classic modes that come into this. Classic just means it's the same thing we already do, whereas I think arenas, one of the biggest draws is the fact that there's variation and stuff that can be done. And 5-star arenas is easily the most enjoyable for me, at least. I'm thinking about making 5-star teams, that sort of thing. So I prefer to only have one of these classics rather than 2. Well, we get 3 as well because it's also the Champions Arena draft is classic, which I don't mind that being classic, but I would love to see, you know, 5-star at least every week. Draft every week as well. Draft is very good. I like draft a lot as well. We also had the summer token wheel come to an end, and I had a couple more pulls on that wheel. Didn't get anything spectacular. Got some 5-star tokens mainly, which is fine. Not yet seen what the extras are that we're going to be able to spend the plushies on, but hopefully something is useful, like I mentioned in my previous video where I did 80 pulls. So there's also been an update on the forums with regards to the player council, and I'll just read through the post. It says, as of last week, we have officially selected all members of the council and kicked off the initiative. Members of the player council are now in ongoing daily discussions with the Road to Survival game team and giving feedback in real time. In terms of discussion, the high level topics that we cover are the content refresh and ongoing quality of life updates, S-Class fighters and the overall character ecosystem, new gameplay experiences, i.e. arenas, communication approach, ongoing gameplay updates and topics. In short, the council will engage in a series of talks each week leading to a Q&A between the Road to Survival game team and the council members. Please note that Scopely will not disclose the names of the player council members and will leave it up to each of the members to share this information with players publicly. Going forward, we will use this thread to consolidate and update you on the progress of the discussion around the player council, the Walking Dead team. So it's good that they're communicating this stuff to us before they're going to maybe be dealing with some of this stuff, but I will say a lot of this has been very, very drawn out, which is not a good thing in my opinion. It needs to be a little bit more hasty. We're talking like it's been over a month pretty much since a lot of this was talked about actually getting started. When it comes to Players United, that was like a few days, like from it being discussed by the community, getting people organized to getting the information from Players United side out. It was very, very quick. So those are just some updates that have been happening over the last 24 to 48 hours. I thought I'd just bring your attention to some of these. I'm sure a lot of you know about these things already. Get raiding, of course. These drops are only happening during this raid tournament, of which there is, you know, just over 12 hours left right now, but probably less than 12 hours once this video is out and live. And they drop in rates, pretty much as simple as that. Try and get as many of those crates as possible. I do like that there are limited time drops. This is something that this game has missed and something that is used a lot in other games to just promote activity. Like world map drops on specific stages would be cool too, you know, something like that would be cool. But this is a good first step, in my opinion, to getting on track to making something a bit more enjoyable player experience, which is what I guess everyone would like. Just more fun, just more fun. That's the end of my video though, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.